Good evening. Welcome to the John Gaunt podcast. Tonight, the question is this: why can't Britain be more like Hungary? Why can't Britain or the United Kingdom be more like Hungary? They haven't got any problems with border control whatsoever, but they're still in the EU. They're even in the Schengen region. They haven't got a problem. Why? Because they've got a leader who's got the political will to stop it. That's tonight's show. In the next half hour or so, I'll show you how we could do it if only we had a proper leader like Viktor Orbán behind my face there. But instead, we've got blancmange face, slippery Starmer, who had the cheek yesterday to call Nigel Farage slippery, and you couldn't trust a word he would say. He's not the man who's done all the U-turns, Starmer. That's you. He's not the man who tried to screw the pensioners. That's you. He's not the man who's putting pubs out of business. That's you and Rachel Reeves. And Nigel Farage is also not the person who's trying to kill farmers. That's you, Starmer. Book yourself in. This is going to be a cracking show. So tonight, good evening. Welcome to the show. I'm asking a very important question, which the political class doesn't even acknowledge, let alone refuse to answer. Why can't Britain be more like Hungary when it comes to borders and border control? If you don't know anything about Hungary, I'm going to tell you tonight. Because we voted for Brexit, didn't we? To take back control. Yet years later, the boats keep coming. The borders are wide open. And not only that, today, Keir Starmer is in gay Paris, openly cozying up to the EU. He says he's there because it's the coalition of the willing, or as I call it, the coalition of the effing useless. But what he's there for also, and maybe the real reason, he's trying to align us more with them. Not only that, he's getting a situation where there doesn't have to be a vote on whether we want closer cooperation. He's fiddling again. He's fiddling us again. He's conning us again. He keeps saying, oh, no, we're not going to go back in the customs union. No, we're not going to go back in the EU. As per usual, Sir Keir wants to use the back door rather than the front door and be up front with you and me. He is deliberately ignoring the democratic will of the British people. And we've been talking about this for weeks now. Why doesn't he just stop people coming in? I keep saying, put the Navy in the Channel, put the Army on the beach, close the hotels, detain everybody. So it's deter, detain, and then deport. It would be sorted. Why doesn't he do it? Well, when we look at Hungary, I think we'll find out the reason. However, Hungary, which is still inside the EU, and indeed their president was there today at this meeting, although he's had some very firm things to say. He said yesterday in a speech, no migrant camps, no relocation schemes, no open borders. Wouldn't you love our Prime Minister to say that? And as a result of all this, and following it through, just like Trump's done in the United States, just like Australia did, they've had fewer than 1,000 illegal entry attempts, this year. So tonight, I'm exposing the excuses. I'm challenging the narrative that it's too difficult to do because we're in the EU. I remind you again, Hungary is in the EU. So I'm going to ask, why Starmer? Why would he rather betray Brexit and betray Britain? He is a traitor, than actually defend the United Kingdom. I'm asking, why can't Britain protect its borders like Hungary has? Why is Keir Starmer cozying up to the EU? He obviously wants to pull us back into their orbit. But meanwhile, the borders remain open. Still hundreds of people coming in, despite the clear democratic mandate of Brexit. We won, you lost, Starmer. And Hungary proves it doesn't have to be this way. If you want to comment, just write a comment in the comment box and I'll come to them as the show progresses. But under Viktor Orbán in Hungary, they've made their position crystal clear. No migrant camps, no forced relocation, no weakened borders, no becoming a country of mass immigration. Now, they're a landlocked country, so in a way, probably easier to get in, isn't it? We've got the channel, but still they come. Just think of that figure, for fewer than 1,000 illegal entry attempts. A week or so ago, we had that in a weekend. So Orban has openly warned this as well. This is a direct quote from him. European democracy is in decline. Elections rerun. Parties surveyed. Candidates bollocked. Leaders punished for defending borders. They got fined 2 million euros, I think, for daring to say we're not going to let people in. They're not paying it. Free speech sanctioned. Hungary, he says, chooses competition over bans and sovereignty over centralized control. Viktor says that's what democracy looks like. And then he says, come and see for yourself. So why doesn't Starmer listen, or any of our politicians? Instead of ignoring and betraying the British public, Starmer should take up Viktor Orbán's challenge, and he should follow Hungary's lead on borders, sovereignty, and democratic accountability. Do you agree? I love this quote from him. He says, Hungary is a sovereign Hungarian nation. We reject the Brusselian, he calls it, the Brussels push for a United States of Europe. The EU works best with strong member states, not forced uniformity. We, in Hungary, decide our own foreign, energy, and economic policies. Our future is in the EU, but with Hungary firmly in control of its own path. Now, we're out of the EU, and we're not even doing that. We're getting nowhere near what Viktor Orbán's done. Why? I'll tell you why. There's no political will. And you and I are being conned by Starmer, not just Starmer and Labour, the whole of the political class, including the mainstream media, the BBC. They don't want us to be separate from the EU. They would love us to go back. Look at the way they treat Nigel Farage. Look at the way they treat anybody who says, well, actually, I'm quite happy being British. And you know how it is at the moment. You feel as if you can't be British. I don't want to be European. I don't want to be part of a European superstate. And really, that's what Hungary's saying. And it's not just Hungary. I've been watching videos today in Poland. When people get through their fence, they're immediately stopped and deported. In Hungary, they don't call it deportation. They just return them to the country on the other side of the fence. They don't want to get into debates about whether it's being deported or not. They just do it. Why don't we act like that? We're not even in the EU, and we're still kowtowing to them. And so today, you've had the alliance of the flipping useless meeting to decide what they're going to do about the Ukraine. That's another thing that he's really tough on. Viktor has agreed that the EU can continue to back the Ukraine, but he's saying not one penny of Hungarian money, any more money, is going into it. We're still giving Zelensky and his goons loads of our money, whilst we've got people living on the street. It all doesn't make sense, does it? Or maybe you can make it make sense to me and explain. But I would rather be, it makes me sick when I'm watching GB News and I see the advert for Poland and they're saying, I'm tempted to go myself, come to Poland, blah, blah, blah. I remember, and I'm not that old, When Poland was like a right shithole, all my mates who came from Poland, they didn't want to live there. They wanted to come here to better themselves. They're all going back now because Poland is booming. Why? Because Poland has decided that the Polish identity, just like in Hungary, is important. And it's not racist to say that. So they're protecting their culture, their tradition, their people. And if people want to go and live there, they fit in. Did you know in Hungary, it's something like there's only 5,000 Muslims? It's an incredible figure. And people go through this country to come to our country, deciding which one's going to give them the best deal, which one's going to give them the best hotel. Well, it's obvious. It's El Dorado. It's the United Kingdom. How much longer are we going to allow this madness to go on? And are we really going to allow Starmer to take us back either through the front door or the back door into the EU? Even if you voted Remain, you've got to see that that's a problem for democracy. There was a clear vote in favour. Give over. Let's get on now with protecting our borders and making Britain great again, if we can. And let's stop the sackcloth and ashes routine. Let's praise our history, our culture, our traditions, our background, our literature, our art. Stop being ashamed of being British. We invented almost everything. We had the best writers, the best music. Well, I suppose America could challenge us on that. But considering the size of our country, we punch way above our weight in all the arts, in all the culture, in all the industry, in all the inventions. We are a brilliant country, but a succession of woke cultural Marxists who have run our governments and our local councils have almost convinced us now that we're standard rate Britain. We used to call it second rate. You're not allowed to say that anymore, are you? That's another example. You're not allowed to go second class on the train. It's standard. We don't have a first, second and third and fourth division. It's the Premier and then the Football League or whatever it's called. It's all bullshit. We were better when we were honest and straight. I don't mean that in a sexual way. What's happened to us? And why are we allowing Starmer to get away with this? When you look at Hungary, just Google it now if you're at home or on your Mobi. Don't go off the programme, whatever you do. But just Google it and see what Hungary have achieved. They're a democracy. Yeah, they're more authoritarian than ours. But I used to make this point all the time. I think we like a bit of authority, don't we? I'd rather have authoritarian people in charge of the police. Have you seen the farce today where the Birmingham police, West Midlands police, are trying to justify the fact that they gerrymandered the evidence to ban Jewish people going to the Villa game? They even went into mosques. The mosques that were preaching hatred had hate preachers in them, anti-Semitic preachers in those mosques. Some of the mosques they went to, and they took their advice on whether this game should be allowed to go on, or indeed not the game, because the game did go on, and that's why it was a victory for the fanatics. The Jews were banned. If we don't stand up to this now, when will we? And isn't our country worth fighting for? Shouldn't a British passport be something that is difficult to get? Yes. And then I was reading about translators today in the National Health. It's something like £79 million we're spending on translators with companies. Why? You get ill in Spain, you pay for your own bloody translator. We've got over 1 million people in this country who have never learnt the language. And okay, we'll go back to Spain now. I denounce the people who have moved to Spain and not learnt the language. But at least when they went there, they took a load of money and bought a villa. The villa. Do you follow what I'm saying? We've been just soft touch Britain. It's not just a squeezy soap in the they're not refugees, sorry, the illegal migrants hotels. That's soft soap. It's the whole attitude that we've got. It's the whole attitude. That's why Starmer has still not apologised for letting that man, the preacher of hate, into our country. He's completely cut adrift. Today, I was listening on GB News and watching him, Donald Trump. He did this kind of, I suppose it was an address to the faithful of the people who really support him. He was brilliant. He was really funny. He did this impression of a transsexual bloke in a women's weightlifting competition. It was just fabulous. He did an impression of Macron. And the underlying feature of everything he said today was America first. We've got a jellyfish of a leader. That's an insult to jellyfish, who believes it's Europe first. He actually believes it's the radical Islamists first. He used to defend them, and he's still doing it now, but he's in number 10 Downing Street. Viktor has stopped illegal migration. They've got this huge fence. There was a brilliant thing I found on YouTube. It's about 4 months old, done by one of the correspondents on GB News. I've not seen him before. Tomlinson, I think his name was. Anyway, brilliant. And he talks to the border guards and the people in charge of it. And they explain the way the system works. And it does work. They've cut it down completely. People know not to go to Hungary. So they go through Slovenia and places like that. Why aren't we doing the same? Over to you. Right, I'm here now for about another 20 minutes. If you want to join in, put your comments down. And if you've not found out about Hungary, you've got to do it. It was an absolute revelation to me. I've got a guy who lives in Hungary who listens to the show. He's been getting right on my tits recently. Oh, all you ever talk about is Starmer. I think his name's Peter. So last night I banned him because I just had enough of him. I put him in timeout. So he's going to be annoyed if you can see this because we're talking about something he wants to talk about. There we are. But I won't be set an agenda by anyone. So that's why I'm not in the mainstream. I don't want to be in the mainstream. I want to be here talking about things that concern me. And these figures today about Hungary blew my mind. And then I saw videos of Poland. It was unbelievable. They're cutting through the fence. Then suddenly 2 armoured cars turn up. All the guys get out of it and they all go, oh, put their hands in the air. They're assuming the position on the floor, eating gravel. And then they're chucked back through the hole. And the hole is then wired back up. That's the way to do it. We've got to deter, detain, and deport. But instead, we're letting them in. Our country's getting wrecked. Our international reputation's down the toilet. Meanwhile, Starmer is fiddling. Well, not just Rome, but London, but the whole country burns. He's trying to get us back into the EU. He hasn't got a mandate for that. That wasn't in his manifesto. The British people want a strong, independent country. You're not giving it. You can't even secure the border. Put the Navy in the Channel, put the Army on the beach, put anybody who arrives in secure detention, not allowed to go out in the daytime to rape or assault or whatever else some of them get up to. It's only a minority, I know, but it's a minority we don't need. This is the John Gaunt podcast. If you like what I'm saying, press the like button. If you want to donate, you know how to do that as well. You just press the $ and donate as little or as much as you want. And today, with it being Tuesday, it's the last day of the week if you want to buy me a coffee or a beer. And I could really do with one. So if you fancy doing that, go to www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. Buymeacoffee.com, all one word, /John Gaunt. Right, let's get going. TV Steve Harris says, evening, Gaunty. Evening is another Steve Palmer. Orban versus Starmer. That's a no contest if I ever saw one. Well, yes, Steve, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable what he's achieved and what he says about Europe. If we had that attitude, look, we're quite happy to be part of Europe. Yeah, we'll vote in favour of that for you, but we're not paying for that bit because we don't really agree with it. That's the way it should be. In fact, that's the way it was. But Starmer's telling us, oh, you got to do this because that's why we've got a cost of living short, what do you call it? deficit. It's all the fault of Brexit. It's all Nigel Farage's fault. If it's not Nigel Farage's fault, it's Labour's fault. This is on you, Starmer. The rapes, the murders, the sexual assaults, they're all on you. You're letting in unvetted, fighting age men who you haven't got a clue who they are into our country. Paul Rowbottom, there was never a political will for a Brexit or to stop the boats. These people are being used as pawns to convince us we need to rejoin. Paul, you're absolutely right. I can't argue with that. There wasn't. And you know what annoys me the most about that? The political establishment. That's not just one political party. That's all of those self-serving pigs. They never thought we'd vote in favour. Because don't forget, they had the whole of the media on their side. They had the BBC with all their hundreds of radio stations that we fund. Not only pushing it, but presenters who were indoctrinated by it. And then the rest of the media. So they didn't think they were going to lose. And even Nigel Farage went to bed on the night because he thought we had lost. I'm not having a go at it. I'm just saying what the facts are. That's what you were up against. And that's why when people slag off Farage, I always think, well, have you achieved anything like he's achieved? He's the only politician in Britain who had a set target in life and achieved it, getting us out of the EU. Now, what happened after that? It's not really on him, is it? It's on Theresa May. It's on Boris. It's just on the people who then tried to action it for us. And, of course, the establishment who never wanted it. Remember, the newspapers didn't want it. And so I think you're right there, Paul. And I think that you're right with stopping the boats. They don't actually want it, because if they wanted it, if me, sitting in my back bedroom in my little studio, can say, well, the solution's easy, isn't it? Navy in the Channel, a few commandos on the beach. I said about the SAS yesterday, going in a helicopter, over to Calais, over to Dunkirk, jumping down the ropes, slashing all the boats. They'd stop overnight. But no, he doesn't do it. Oh, I can't do that. I'm in the EU. I'm scared of the EU. Oh, they're the big boys. I'm playing with the big boys. Sometimes when you play with the big boys, Keir Starmer, you might get your fingers burnt or something else. You should be putting Britain first, and you should be learning from Viktor in Hungary. I keep wanting to call it Bulgaria. I do apologise. Starmer won't stop people coming in because he's importing voters. Jackie Ward, regular. I think there's an element of truth in that, Jackie. That's why he's going to allow 16-year-olds to vote, even before they can fight properly in the army. Ludicrous. It's ludicrous. At 16, you haven't got a clue about the world. I wouldn't let anyone vote until they got their own dustbin. I've said this many times. You know where I'm coming from. The Channel was enough to keep out Hitler, says Steve, but faced with the threat of a couple of rubber boats, our border has more holes than a colander. I agree totally, Steve. Dad's Army. Who do you think you are kidding, Mr. Hitler, if you think we're on the run? We are the boys that'll stop your little game. We are the boys that'll make you think again. Load of old fellas with brooms for rifles. They don't like it up on Captain Mainwaring. I know it was a comedy program, but you see where I'm coming from. They didn't take us then, but now we've just rolled over. They're tickling our tummy and we let them in. I'm talking about the EU there. Fuzz124 has just donated a fiver, $4.99, a super sticker. Thank you, Fuzz124 on YouTube. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. If anybody else wants to donate a super sticker, all you do is click the little $sign next to the comments and send whatever you can afford. Or go to www. Who's going to be the first to do that tonight? www. What it's called that? www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. What do you make of Starmer being in Paris today? How dare he do this? And then he's just had his relaunch. It's not just Hungary, John. It's Poland as well who are pushing back against the New World brackets EU order, says David KT. You're correct. I'll just read. You probably wrote that before I actually mentioned Poland, so that's fair enough. But yeah, I've been watching videos of Poland today. They're not taking any shit. Whereas excuse me, Poland, I saw these guys, they come through the fence, like they've got cameras everywhere. Same in Hungary, heat-seeking cameras so they can see at night. Well, we've got all this technology. We developed most of this technology. Why aren't we just patrolling the beach? So anyway, you see these guys cutting the fence and they crawl through the fence and they let about, I don't know, 8 of them in before they come down in the cars. They come down in 2 massive 4x4s, whatever the sound of the Polish police is, jump out, and before these guys can say, I'm claiming asylum, their face is in the fucking gravel and they're pushed back through. Oh, that'd be against their human rights, Gaunty. I'm a human rights lawyer. Jimmy Savile never came across my desk. Anyway, that's what Starmer says, isn't it? It's rubbish. And Viktor is proving it, and so is Poland. Good evening, John. I can't wait for the EU to completely fall apart. Their open border policy may well be their downfall. One of those bureaucrat leaders say Great Britain is just a colony now after the 2016 vote to leave. Yeah, they did say that. But Den, that's also what Viktor Orban's been saying today. He says, I'm not going to leave and let the EU crumble. He says it's going to crumble anyway. And I think he's probably right. Yeah, we don't need those jokes, Leanne Taylor. I tell them better than you, and you are just a bit too one-dimensional and will get us all into trouble. So stop it. There's no need for that. Russell Marriott, we are a shithole. Well, hard to argue with, isn't it? Andrew Hamer, if we don't action the illegal migrants breaking into the UK and protect our borders now, we won't be able to reverse this horrendous situation we are in. Well, that's what I was talking about yesterday. And I've got a few people after the show saying, Gaunty, I think you're panicking. I don't think I am. Because Starmer has now said, I was elected on a mandate and that mandate was for 5 years. I'm not going anywhere. He's determined to stay. And as we know, the Labour Party is so riven with internal politics, left versus right, I don't think they know who they could replace him with anyway. And I don't think he needs replacing. I think we need a general election. I think the whole lot of them need to go. But if they're still in power in 3 or 4 years' time, you're right. A lot of these people who are getting in now will be fast-tracked anyway. Before you know it, all their relatives, because you know they can bring over like the whole bloody tribe. I'm not being racist. I mean a whole load of them. In-laws and outlaws and the rest of them. They'll all be bloody voting. And they ain't going to vote for Christmas, are they? How do you think Khan's keeping in control in London? And look at the way, I'm sorry to say, I'm going to say it, and people are going to say I'm a racist. London has changed, and I don't think it's changed for the better. I'm all for a bit of diversity, different things to eat, different music, different culture. Yeah, that's great. But the dominant culture of the United Kingdom should be British or English. You couldn't go to Scotland and say suddenly, oh, I don't want to use the word hogmanay anymore. We're not going to do any of that anymore. It's a bit exclusive. You can't. It's just not the way it is. You're never going to stop them eating, it's a joke, deep-fried Mars bars if they want. Do you understand what I'm saying? And like this cultural appropriation, we can't wear a Rasta wig, you know, like you used to buy when you went to the Caribbean. That's wrong. I'm not talking about blacking up because that is clearly wrong. But they can appropriate our culture. It just doesn't add up. None of this adds up. And I'm sorry, some of the places where these people come from, our culture, our education, our socialization is superior to theirs. I'm sorry. That's a fact. I don't know if you've seen that snob, the little guy. He hasn't started shaving yet. He's on the news agents with Emily Maitlis, you know, the one who's got like a pea brain. But she's very clever, but pea brain when it comes to common sense. And John Soft Sopel, yeah? I hate that guy. One day I'll tell you why. But I saw both of them at Donald Trump's party when he got elected the first time. And, no, shut up, John. And the little one, what's his name? He's on LBC. He was bragging today on Twitter that he had 4 million downloads for his show on Saturday or Sunday. Yeah, but 3.9999 million of them were taking the piss out of you. Lewis Goodall, that's his name. They were taking the mickey out of you because he was talking about colonialism and the rest of it. Some black fella, if you've not heard this, you've got to Google it. Some black guy rings in with quite a strong African accent, and he says, well, actually, I think the Brits did some good, and maybe we could do with a bit more of that in certain African countries. Lewis Goodall tried to condescend and patronise him, a white man telling a black African man what's the real truth about his continent. It's so funny. And in the end, right, first rule of phoning, don't go into an argument that you can't win, or secondly, find an honourable way out of. Putting the phone down on him, Lewis, is not the honourable way. You're not a phone show host. Why? What is it with LBC? Well, let's have another left winger. Why? Your biggest crowd puller is Nick Ferrari. It's just a joke. It's just a joke. Terry Wheatley, him and the useless Ed Davey, who actually thinks he wants to no contact with Trump. They're two clowns together. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Ed Davey thinks we should declare war on Trump effectively. It's like this whole farce about Greenland. It's nonsense. Denmark controls Greenland. Have you seen where Denmark is in relation to Greenland? Have you seen where Greenland is in terms of proximity? Because don't forget, the world is round. It's a spit from Russia. You can see why Trump is concerned. I'm not saying he's right to say he wants to take over. I don't think he does. I think what he wants is us to up our game, and rightly so. Why should people in the Midwest, I always say this, like what's her name, Roseanne, her family, if you think about them as the archetypal Midwest family, why should they pay for the protection of Europe? It doesn't make sense. It's not fair. It's not reasonable. So I think Trump's exactly right. Anyway, let's move on. That was Starmer's goal from the start, to get back into Europe. He thinks he'll be the president of the EU. Yeah, well, just like his mentor, Tony Blair, that's their hobby. Because what they're doing is, Ed Davies, another one. Nick Clegg was classic, wasn't he? Choo-choo! Jump on that bloody gravy train. Let's get to Brussels. Or let's get to Facebook. He goes to Facebook. He's a big boss man over there. But then once Facebook sees Trump getting elected again, they become a bit more right-wing, just like Elon Musk buying Twitter. And now he's back here, isn't he? Nick Clegg. They make me sick. Caroline Hobday, or Switzerland, or Sweden, or Denmark, they all look after their own too. Do not get involved in other countries' decisions or mess. Strict guidelines about living in those countries and about fitting into their culture and their rules. Well, I think Sweden and Denmark learnt the hard way, because I went to Denmark for a big conference once, and at that point there were loads of Afghanis there, and they were living how they wanted to live. And Denmark have changed that, and Sweden the same, of course. Sweden went from this peace-loving country to, like, I don't know, Gangsterville. But they're getting on top of it now. What has happened to our laws, says Caroline, moral standards, rules? Britain has lost the great. We need someone who loves the British people and our culture and beliefs to run the country. Anyone who supports and stands by these terrorist groups and believe their lies needs to go too. Caroline, I agree with you entirely. When I used to be on GB News, I don't get invited anymore, but when I was, some of them, they say, oh, you're too authoritarian. I don't think there's anything wrong with a bit of authority. Respect for the police. It's hard to respect the police, though, isn't it? If you've been watching the telly today or following that Birmingham story, they are lions led by absolute donkeys. I've been calling for the Chief Constable of West Midlands Police to be sacked for weeks. If he had any honour, he'd fall on his sword now. Be a very little sword, but he should. Don't you agree? Now we find out today they went to radical Islamist mosques to ask their opinion, should the Jews be allowed to play? I don't know how the Jews are putting up with this. I really don't. I think it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I think Labour are trying their best to get back in the EU. I think you're right, Den. They did try for 3 years to stop it whilst in opposition, correct? And, of course, Starmer was the key man. They'll bring us to the brink of bankruptcy, then say the EU can rescue us if we fully rejoin. Of course, that's their game. Of course, that's their game. Thank you. Love DA. Not a bad voice, John. What does that mean, Dave Chambers? Love DA, not a bad voice, John. What does that mean? Some people. Did just Matron know you on the phone? Joking. Starmer loves the EU that much, he should be put in charge of the EU. Then the rest of Europe can see just how useless he is. John, the UK has some incredible heroes going over to France trying to stop the boats. Yeah, I've talked about this before. My fear with that is they'll all end up getting arrested, won't they? It's kind of, and they shouldn't have to do it. Didn't we give the French a load of millions and millions of euros for them to sort this out? Or we should do what I say. Send the SAS in one night. Or the SBS, isn't it? Special Boat Squad. Come down the ropes, slash all the things, give a few slaps to these people smugglers, job sorted. All the migrants on the beach crapping themselves as they see the SAS come down, all in black masks. They would think, I don't want to go to Britain. Is that how they treat people? Oh, no. This is ludicrous as well. We've now got some Afghanis. Have you heard about this? They're now trying to take us to the Court of Human Rights or something, sue the British government for the way we've looked after them. Taken too long to look at their claims. What do you think? If you want to join in, just write a comment. I'm going to stop soon because I'm winding myself up here. Hi, John. Late to the party. I see Big Sam has taken a Venezuela job until July. Yeah, I saw that. It's a good meme, that, Niven. You're right. Don't worry, John. Trump is going to make everything all right. Well, I don't know whether he is, my friend. Starmer's just signed an agreement to put boots on the ground in Ukraine. I could see that coming. Has that actually happened? Oh, yeah, but don't worry. They're only a peace unit. No, he's taking the peace out of you and me. One drop of British blood spilt or lost on the battlefields of Russia and Ukraine, and Starmer, you are in the frame. We should not be doing this. They've been saber rattling and making this up for so long. I'm not saying Putin was right to invade. He wasn't. But we all know there's a long history to this conflict. And has he really done that? Has he really just agreed to send our lads in? Oh, yeah, Magpie says yes, as part of a blue helmet squad. Well, I know who's certainly a helmet, and that's Starmer. It's nonsense, isn't it? Yeah, go in as peacekeeping troops. Don't they ever remember anything like Northern Ireland? Do they not remember Cyprus? It'll end up with British blood on the ground in the Ukraine. Disgraceful. Digital cards. Coral, says UN, scrap it. NATO, scrap it. EU, scrap it. Well, I must admit, Digital, I watched all this today, and they're going on and on about it's the coalition of the useless, yeah, the coalition of the willing. But they can't do anything. They haven't got any money. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's in Washington, D.C. in some hotel, talking to a load of his supporters, happy as anything, and, really bigging himself up because of what he did in, what's the name of the country? Because of what he did over the weekend, and rightly so. He didn't mention Starmer. He mentioned Macron, but only to take the mickey out of him. There's a new world order, and at its head is Donald Trump, and they can bleat as much as they want on LBC and on the BBC and in the lamestream media. He's in charge. And at least he's getting things done. I just think it's crazy. I just think it's all crazy. David KT, if we tell the US we found oil in Birmingham, do you think Donald would do us a favour? Yeah, maybe. Terry Wheatley says, I bought you a beer, John. We all need to drink to see what Starmer's going to do next. I think you're right, Terry, and thank you very much for your contribution. Starmer means we're opening a branch of Boots in Ukraine. I know, Craig, I wish that's all he did mean, but it doesn't. He's a warmonger. He's another one. He's another one who can't wait to get his picture coming through the turret of a tank, right? He can't wait. Did you see when he was there with all the gear on before, the camouflage gear and the armored vest? He loved it. He had a right little stiffy on, yeah? But he's going to send your kids, your grandkids, to their death. I've been saying this for over a year, that this is what would happen. It's not the way to solve the problem. Listen to Donald Trump. Do you think he's going to put Americans in? I somewhat doubt it. Niven, I'm stopping any minute now. So if you want to get a comment in, or if you want to make a donation, which would be much appreciated, because otherwise I'm selling the big issue outside where we're doing it, outside Boots. I was trying to think of a shop then where you can sell the big issue, but there ain't any shops left, are there? In the old days, it'd be outside Woolies, next to the geography teacher from school who's selling the Socialist Worker, promising us there's going to be a revolution. Most of them are in the Labour Party now. Hi, John. Trump's seen that the world order is changing and he's acted in America's interests. It will be interesting to see how this plays out. But the uber liberals day is done now. I think I've got to agree with you, Niven. I think I've got to agree with you. Dave Chamberlain is now telling me what he meant by DA. I didn't know what he didn't know what he was on about. I was thinking about Duck's arse, the haircut. He says, Dad's Army rendition, John. Sorry. Oh, is that when I sang my Who Do You Think You Are Kidding, Mr. I tell you what, I still think that's brilliant. Although I have got a question. You might want to just throw this one in or answer later in the day. Has any TV series had a film spin-off that was any good? Like, for example, Morecambe and Wise, the greatest ever comedy double act, probably. Their show was watched by 26 million people. But did you see their films? They were crap. On the Buses, crap. Dad's Army, that movie. There's two movies. There's the original one, and then there's the remake. Terrible. What is it? Is it just because those guys can only write only write? It's one of the hardest things in the world. Write situation comedy. I don't know. What do you think? Even John Sullivan, who wrote Only Fools and Horses. He did that one where he went back in time, and they were longer, and they were crap, weren't they? They weren't any good. Well, they weren't crap, but they weren't of the same standard as Only Fools and Horses. You might agree, you might disagree. Look at this. Digital Corals has just donated a tenner on YouTube. And he just says, love you, John. I don't know if it's a man or a woman. I don't care. Thank you very much indeed, Digital. That's a really brilliant contribution, and it'll really help. Thank you very much indeed. Kim Krasnicki says hello. Is that all you're going to say? He said they are deploying 800,000 volunteers to help with the defense and rebuilding. He never said they were the Ukraine military. Magpie. Don't know what you're on about there. You're talking about, it won't be that many people he's sending. Hi, John. I wish Trump could pick up Starmer and Khan and at the same time Lammy. Don't we all? Can you imagine that? Imagine that. Put them with the old glasses on the plane. Sensory deprivation. Lammy wouldn't know any difference. There's nothing in his fucking brain anyway. Is there a spot outside the Rico Arena where you could sell the big issue? You're a funny boy, Niven. Yeah, very funny. I tell you what, Coventry at the moment, we've gone off the boil, but have you seen who we're getting? We're getting that geezer from Crystal Palace on loan because he can't get a game with the Palace and he's been out somewhere else and he wants match play. And then another guy who I was just reading about, I think Chinese or something. Both good players. It's good that Frankie Lampard and Doug King are saying we need a bit more firepower. We certainly do. What's this Britain and the UK with France, GB News, to do with Ukraine? What's this Britain and the UK with France, GB News, to do with the Ukraine? Then, do you think you could write that again, but in English? Yeah. What was I saying earlier about the shops? It was outside Woolies. In Coventry, it was always outside Woolies or British Home Stores where they stood selling the Socialist Worker. But where would you sell the biggest? There aren't no shops. The world's changing. I should do something about this. Oh, hang on. Somebody arguing with me, which I like. Mark Cavill 1892. Minder the movie was very good. Wasn't there 2 Minder movies? There was certainly... I can remember one with the lad, Gary, whatever his name is, and George Cole, after Dennis Waterman. They made a movie that... I didn't really rate that. But was there one with Dennis Waterman and George Cole? Somebody will let me know. Because I was asking, has there ever been a TV series that's been turned into a film that was any good? Oh, I got a recommendation for you. Jimmy, whatever his name, Pain Face, Northern Irish geezer, used to be in Cold Feet. He's got a new TV series on Netflix about his daughter who's run away. I watched 3 of them last night. Runaway, it's called. The clues in the... So it's called Runaway. Watch it. It's brilliant. It's free on Netflix. Well, if you've got Netflix. Very good indeed. Very good. Andy Borg says, Rock and Chips, John. Only Fools and Horses back in time. You're right. That's what it was called. It was terrible, though, wasn't it? I got a mate, Dan, who supplied a lot of the music for that. Don't get me wrong. John Sullivan and Only Fools and Horses, some of the best comedy, British comedy writing ever. Ever. The guy was a genius. But I don't think the longer versions of those programs work. Certainly not Dad's Army. They would make a mint selling it at Spurs. Take our mind off the Turkish shite on the pitch. One of the players we're getting, Niv and Casey, is from the Spurs. One of them. The one who's not from Palace. I should have written down their names before I came on. Probably Steptoe and Son, when Harold married the stripper and took the old man on his... Terry, now that is a good film. I'll tell you what, though. Are you like me? You could watch Steptoe now as if it was made yesterday. I think it's the same with Only Fools and Horses. I think the other one that's like that is... it's gone out of my mind now. But a lot of them, they just look too old. They just feel wrong, don't they? This morning, what did I do? Lisa put... I was watching GB News. She comes in and turns over straight away. What are you watching this crap for? Blah, blah. Anyway, so she put on an episode of the one with John Thorin. Morse. I said, what you put this on for? Oh, I like a bit of Morse. I said, they're 2 hours long. You've just told me you're going out in 20 minutes. I just thought I'd watch a bit. And I'll tell you how old it was. The TV screen was like squared down like that because they must have filmed it in a different ratio. It was like watching YouTube. I used to love that though, didn't you? Morse. Never had a clue how he worked it out. And when my daughter went to Oxford, you have to go down and stay with her. I still do now, but when she was actually in the Oxford colleges, you can't go anywhere and not hear the Morse theme. In your head, I'm talking about. All the locations. Loads of them were filmed in her college, obviously, before she got there. It's like in her college, they also filmed in, the big hall in, do you want me to shut up in a minute? The big hall in the Harry Adams, what do you call it? The most famous children's book in the world. Harry Potter film. When the owl comes in and all eating the dinner? Well, that's in the college dining room. I've had my dinner in there with Rosa and Lisa. They had these formal dinners. But that was filmed in there. It's amazing. Amazing. And that one college has created 12 or 14? 12 or 14 British prime ministers. Just that one college. Christchurch, it's called. It's got its own. I tell you how posh that college was, right? It's got its own cathedral. Not a church. A bloody cathedral in the grounds. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And she was there. Most of the boys had been to Eton. And you know what? I was a right working class. I think I've told you this before. I was a right working class. I thought, what do they know about anything? And they didn't. But actually, some of them were really nice kids. I mean, you can't blame them for their upbringing, can you? Did I tell you about when the guy said to Rosie, do you want to do the Ocado shop with me? And then she told him about going to the shops and how to buy biscuits. No? Maybe I'll tell you that another time. That's a very, 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 very funny show. It's Yang Min Hyok. I don't know anything about him, I'm afraid. Oh, you mean, is he Chinese? The player who's coming to play for Coventry on loan from Spurs. But Niven Casey knows the name, but he doesn't know who he is. Yang Min Hyok. Well, if he's as impressive as his name, it would be brilliant. Best Steptoe and Son was the Kung Fu episode. No, that was good. I'll tell you the best ever Steptoe episode. It's when the old man teaches him ballroom dancing because he's got some bird who he's going to meet that night. And he goes out and the episode ends with him coming back and he's in a really bad mood, the lad, because he taught him he taught him the female steps or something like that. But it's just nice. Here's one for you. The movie of Whatever Happened to the Likely Lads. Was that any good? Oh, did I love that program? You remember the one where they don't want to know the England result? Every bloke in the world has lived that experience. Every bloke in the world. Anyway, and the Liverbirds. I used to love them as well. Hi, Gaunty. Give you a plug on the Mike Graham show. Give you a plug on the Mike Graham show this AM. 74 quo. What are you on about? What's that? You giving me a plug? What do I want a plug for? Anyway, thank you anyway. It's very kind of you. The best Steptoe Son was the Prison Break with Leonard Rust. That was a good one. Here's another one. Why are we doing this? We should be talking about the World War III. What about Porridge? Brilliant episodes. But I saw the movie over Christmas and hemorrhoids have been more amusing than that. It just didn't work. And also in the movie, Christopher Biggins wasn't in it. I like the ones when he's in it, and Charlie Grout. And of course, he played the dad, didn't he, in Wolfie Smith. Citizen Smith. Oh, God, did you love that program? What a shame that he's turned out to be such an arsehole. Brilliant actor. What's his name? You know the geezer who plays Wolfie? Robert Lindsay. I saw him in Me and My Girl in the West End. He was brilliant. And most of the things he does on telly, he's brilliant. But when he talks about politics, it's like, oh, shut up. It's like the Lord out of, he's been going on, hasn't he? Downton Abbey. Or as I call it, Downtown Abbey. I only got told last week by Lisa. It's not called Downtown Abbey, you idiot. It's Downton. There we are. Nothing ever happens in that. I don't know why people watch that. I really don't understand it. Grouty, says Mark Cavill. That's what did I call him? Yes, John, that ballroom dancing episode was brilliant. Thank you. Mr. Mackay, says Mark Cavill. Yeah. What about the one in Porridge when they cancelled Christmas? That's a classic, isn't it? An absolute classic. Cancels Christmas. He was a brilliant actor, wasn't he? And a brilliant comedian. Ronnie Barker? Yeah. And, of course, the young lad, whose name I've forgotten. I'm getting too old, aren't I, to play this game anymore. You know the guy I'm talking about. I know his wife. Darling. I did a TV series with his wife, Judy Lowe. She just passed away just recently. And, of course, their daughter's really famous now, isn't she, in Hollywood? What was his name? Anyway, Leanne Tails having a go at me now. You're talking crap, John. The Porridge film was so funny. Well, maybe you haven't got much of a brain, Leanne. Maybe. No, I just didn't find it funny. Sorry, compared to the series. Rising Damp Geza. No, don't know what you're on about there. I used to love Rising Damp with Philip, who became he's the commissioner now, isn't the commissioner? The commissioner in Death in Paradise. Who's the guy that is it? Beckinsale, Richard Beckinsale, Judy Lowe. I worked with her. That was her. That was his wife, and of course their daughter's Kate Beckinsale. I'd like to work with her. Keeping up appearances, being local was very funny. It was never really floated my boat, I must admit. But yeah, it was filmed here in Coventry and in Bedford, wasn't it? My favourite Steptoe Son is Divided We Stand. Oh, yes. Where they partition the house because they've fallen out with each other. I copied it by drawing down a line down the middle of the floor when my brother and I shared a bedroom. Yes, Richard. That was a brilliant episode. Oh, I could do this all night, but I can't because I've got other things to do. Somebody else, this is good because people are arguing. The Porridge movie was great. The non-celebrity football team breaking into the prison. It was great, says Charles Freeman. I'm going to have to look at it again, Charles, because I missed it on that level. I really looked at it and didn't enjoy it at all. But I'm willing to be proved wrong. Absolutely. Craig's getting us back to seriousness. Here we are enjoying ourselves with a bit of nostalgia. John, what do you think will happen with Mahmood regarding Begum? Well, they're going to let her in, aren't they? But I don't want to get worked up about that tonight, Craig, but thanks for your question. They just won't let him in. They will let her in. Of course they will. That's what they're working towards. May as well. They have letting every other murdering terrorist scum who wants to kill us. Oh, but she was groomed. She weren't looking groomed when she lifted up the dustbin lid by her own admission and saw the severed heads of Westerners. No. She just carried on knocking out the kids for them. I've got no sympathy for her. No. The best bit of Divided We Stand was the match of the day seed. Yeah, because he can't see whether the goal goes in, can he? Or something like that. Well done, Niven. Oh, can I go in a minute? I've had enough now. Great programs in memory, says Adam Calming, one of my regular listeners. And also, he's the man who supplied the lights. He's responsible for this. They still make me howl with laughter. So much better than some of the crap now. Exactly. When you compare, Adam, what was on offer over Christmas, right? It was absolutely appalling. I was telling you I was going to do a podcast called Christmas Was Crap and So Was New Year's Eve. I was going to do it the other day and then something else came up and I did that. Maybe I should do that tomorrow because I've got a lot of thoughts about, well, Christmas isn't Christmas anymore, is it? It isn't. All the things we used to do, the Blue Peter, coat hangers, tinsel thing, Advent thing, don't happen anymore. People say Merry Christmas, Happy Christmas to you. People being nice to you in the street. Great programs. Getting the radio times and the TV times and putting biro circles around what you're going to watch. I didn't even buy the radio times this year. Excuse me. I'm going to have to eat in a minute. I didn't do any of that. It just wasn't. And it didn't feel Christmassy. And then, like I say, you don't go to town shopping. It's all done on your Mobi. It's not even done on the computer anymore. Bit of Amazon, bit of this. The only time I felt anywhere near Christmassy was when I was half cut with Ron Atkinson and went to that football do. But the pub didn't feel very Christmassy. What's up with us? We just took and taken down our decorations today as well. Oh. Hang on. I've got to finish now. James Howson. Followed you since you were on 3CR, John. Oh, I tried to shake you off at Watford Gap. And regarding TV programmes, I could watch and rewatch. How about The Professionals? Lewis Collins. And he should have been Bond. I think you're absolutely right there. He was ex-SAS, wasn't he? Great show as always, John. Thank you. Well, if you think it's that good a show, why isn't anyone donating the odd fiver, the odd tenner here, there and everywhere? Come on. Click on the padlock. Somebody, not the padlock, the may as well be a padlock. Click on the dollar sign and donate a little bit. Or go to www.buymeacoffee.com/jungle. How did I ever get anywhere in radio with my voice? Dan Reddington, I mentioned you earlier. Dan, I said you supplied all the music for John Sullivan for that spin-off show. Hi, John, because Dan used to own the best record shop in the world, Reddington's Rare Records in Birmingham. Anyway, when I was a student, I was always in there. Hi, John, what about Alf Garnett's series Till Death Us Do Part? It was a brilliant series. It was absolutely brilliant. And of course, a lot of people miss the point there. Because the guy who wrote it, Johnny Spate, he was Jewish, and Alf Garnett himself, he was Jewish, and it was basically a Mickey take of races. But unfortunately, because it was so good, sometimes people thought, They missed the joke in a way. But anyway, I thought it was brilliant. Whenever I hear celebrities going on about politics, says Niven Casey, I always replay Ricky Gervais's Golden Globe speech. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And if you haven't seen Ricky Gervais's latest show, it's now on Netflix. I saw it the other day. I was watching it on my phone because they had some crap on the they have the Sound of Music on. Because I've always thought the Sound of Music would be improved if the Nazis just came in and slaughtered them all in the first scene. But maybe I'm just a grouch. But anyway, they were watching Sound of Music, the mother-in-law and Lisa. So I'm watching Ricky Gervais and laughing my duck off. And the old lady says, what's he laughing at, Lisa? She said, he's watching Ricky Gervais. She said, can we watch it? Lisa drew the line at that. No. But anyway, the other night, I'm in there with Lisa. And Lisa said, go on then, show me that Ricky Gervais. So I showed her, and she didn't laugh. I'm in stitches, right? And if you've not seen it, I won't ruin it, because also I couldn't do justice to the jokes. But the joke when he says, and that stopped me doing my second favourite thing, which is going to the funeral of that, right? She never laughed. I said, what's up with you? She said, well, I can see what it's doing, and I think it's very clever, but it's not my humour. Women, you can't live with them, but unfortunately, you can't live without them. I'll never understand them. How about Officer Mackay as the new Prime Minister? Yeah, it'd be good, wouldn't he? But he'd be surrounded by Mr. Barracloughs. Remember that? Big issue is now solved by Eastern Europeans. You've got no chance of getting a job, John. Yeah, that's a fair point, that. That's a very fair point. Do you know what? I don't have a downer on big issue sales, though, because they work really hard to earn the money. There was one when I worked at the Sun, and as you went into News International, he was Albanian or something. And he'd say, yeah, big issue. I say, yeah, go on then. I'll give him the money. He said, and he'd say, do you mind if you don't take the magazine? I said, why? He said, well, because I can sell it again. I loved it. I thought that's entrepreneurial spirit, isn't it? Because let's face it, you take the big issue, you don't read the bloody thing, do you? It's like a football program. I can't believe how much they cut out of Crocodile Dundee the other day. Oh, yeah, they did, didn't they, to make it more politically correct? All she needs to do is do one from Syria and get on a dinghy. Oh, let's not talk about Begum today. We'll talk about it another day. John, please do a show on the Luton Lion, Tommy Robinson. People keep asking me, why don't you interview him? I've interviewed him loads of times. If he rings me up or asks me, I'll do him. Huh? But I ain't doing it. Oh. See, somebody mentioned Mike Graham earlier, and I'm going to say it now. Right? Good luck to him with his new show. Good luck to him. But I watched it yesterday, or watched bits of it, and I watched a bit of it, very small bit of it this morning. What's alternative about it? It's still him mumbling and not being very good at talking off the ball, as I call it. And, good luck to him. I hope it's really successful. It is really successful. He's got more followers than me, but then he was on talk for longer than me. I don't know what it is, but I just thought, well, let's start with a newspaper review with Emma, that idiot woman, Emma Freud, Emma somebody. But she's on GB News. She's on Talk Radio. There's a group of people. I wish I hadn't pissed on my parade, because there's a group of people. There's another one with a beard. Have you seen him? Matthew Talbot? I don't know what his name is. He used to be homeless. That's his claim to fame. And good on him. But you can turn the telly on, and it's a bit like, when you go down the M1, when I used to work at Luton, I used to go down the M1, and the Better Music Mix had just started. So you'd hear the Better Music Mix for Coventry, whatever, and they'd play a record, and then they'd do a joke that was obviously written for them at the main base, right? And then you go into the next transmission, not BBC, Radio Northampton, the Better Music Mix, whatever it's called, right? And he'd play the same record. His records were just either one or two ahead of the one from Coventry. But then he'd tell the same joke. And they'd call it the Better Music Mix. Now, what do I know? This became a massive brand all over the country. But it's like crap, really. And it's a bit like that when I listen to talk radio. All the people who are doing talk, like, for example, like I said, Mike, I'm not having a go at him. I'm just saying, starting with a paper review with Matthew, whatever his name is, the big beard. And then he goes on to, then you turn over and he's on GB News. And then you turn over again. Well, I guess, I don't know, I don't ever listen to talk, but I guess then he's on there. And now he's on Mike Graham. That's hardly revolutionary, is it? Yeah? And I don't want to blow my own trumpet. All of them, you can tell they're reading a script. They just can't talk. There's no script here, as you can tell, which is why in parts it's crap. But it's just meant to be honest anyway. Shut up, John. I'll buy you a few coffees soon again, John. Thank you, my friend. Richard Pope, Greatest Hits Radio is like that now. The songs skip as you travel, laugh out loud. That's absolutely right. I used to go down the motorway every day to Luton, and it would flick over and flick over and flick over. Then there was a period when I was working on BBC London, and we'd do all the big debates. And then I'd get on the train, and if I could get a signal, I'd have a listening. I'd listen to LBC, and oh, I'll tell you the best one was when I was working on BBC London. I used to work there in the daytime, weekdays, and then Saturday I go and work at WM in Birmingham and the Black Country, which I adored, right? Best thing ever in Birmingham, that was, right? And we used to do this really funny show on a Saturday, but politics. But the Brummies, I'd do some of the serious subjects. And the way the Brummies talked about it was so different to the way the London audience talked about things. It's like being in a parallel universe. I was just the same. Rough-assed, under-rehearsed, ill-informed, bit of a fascist, all those things. They seem to go down well with both audiences. LBC is the biggest woke show on the earth, says Forever English. You sent some money yesterday. Thank you, Forever English. I don't really listen to it. I only see the clips when they come up on, what do you call it? I think they're rubbish. I think it's a rubbish station. James O'Brien. And that Lewis, whatever his name is. Terrible. Nick Ferrari, he's a class act. Doesn't believe a word he says, though. Shut up, John. Mike Graham, says Lena Tail, 7251. Mike Graham, but he's not from the heart. I don't know what that means. I don't know. He's a journalist. So, Mike Parry. I prefer Mike Parry, to be honest. 74 quote. Didn't Mike, he fell out with the other Mike, didn't he? Didn't they have a tiff? I don't know. Dennis says, I'll buy you a few beers soon again, John. All right. We can all live on hope. Oh, God, I sounded like Muttley then. Oh, Catch the Pigeon. Was it Catch the Pigeon? Brilliant. I think that was better than Wacky Races. That is a controversial view. I said I can do controversy if that's what you want me to. All right, then. I'm stopping now. Thank you very much for entertaining me, because the end of the show I quite enjoyed. And the rest of it was good. I'm thinking about just calling it. What do you reckon? I'll take some theories on this. You can write a comment. Don't forget, you can always write comments and come on to my YouTube channel, John Gaunt TV, anytime you want, and send me some comments. I'm thinking about just calling the show the John Gaunt Show. I don't know whether that would help boost the numbers. I don't need to say what I'm going to talk about, do I? Or do I? I don't know. I can't make my mind up. What I do know is when I look at some of the other people and the numbers they've got, why aren't I getting those numbers? Most of those people who've got big numbers, they're not fit to wipe the spittle off my microphone. Good night. I'll see you tomorrow. All the best. If you've got kids, give them a... Oh, they are. Forever English is just giving a gift of another membership to the John Gaunt TV. Thank you, my friend. But I've got to go. I'm going to get myself in trouble. 1 hour, 10 minutes, says Richard Pope. What are you, the time in motion, man? When I worked at the Standard, we hated people like you. No, Richard, that's fine. Thank you. Is that how much I've done? Digital Call says, you're the boss. Yeah, I am, actually. I am the boss of Talk Radio. Lisa said to me as well, she said, what if one of these people offered you a job and or a shift and you had to go and do it tomorrow? Would you do it? I said, yeah. She said, she's obviously desperate to me to get a job. She's really pissed off and won't earn any money. She said, what if it was like, can you do tonight? Yeah. What about if it was, can you do it for an hour from your home, John? Yeah. She said, well, wouldn't you need to get prepared? Prepared? It's just talking. I've done it all my life. My Auntie Rosemary, when she had took me in after being in care, she said, your gob will either make you $1 million or you'll end up in prison. Well, it nearly made me $1 million. And no, anyway, we'll leave it there. Right. Don't sound like Mike Graham. FFS. Lol, John. I don't know what that means. Thanks very much. 74 Quo says, that Ian Lee was a pillock. Oh, don't talk nasty of the dead. That's not fair. Leave that out. Oh, sorry, it's only his career that's dead. Right, I'm off. I'll see you soon. Look after yourself. If you've got kids, give us a kiss. Give them a kiss. Give us a kiss. Yeah, give them a kiss. Give them a hug. And don't forget to tell them you love them. I'll see you. Thank you very much indeed. See you tomorrow. 6. Bye.